Okay, in this video, we're going to have a little look at the ownership of Formula One, the greater underlying ownership. First, though, we're going to have a look at this, an example of something that we've been taught.
Now, we learned 50 years ago in the animal industry that vegetable oils were bad for you because we tried to get animals to gain weight faster by giving them 20% and 40% of their ration as corn oil or soy oil. And sure enough, for the first couple of weeks that animals were on the oils, they gained weight many times faster than ones just getting carbohydrate calories. But in 6 weeks, they all died of heart attacks. So we knew it was a good idea. It went bad somewhere. And they said, well, what do we do with this stuff? No farmer is dumb enough to give it to his livestock anymore. They said, look, we've contracted with farmers to grow millions of tons.
Who contracts with farmers to grow millions of tons? Who invests? Who invests? Who makes these contracts for the future gain? Key word there is investment, isn't it? Who invests? Who contracts?
Of corn oil and soy oil every year for the next 50 years. What do we do with this stuff? They say, well, it's not proven in human beings yet that it's dangerous. Let's convince people that vegetable oil is good for them. And
how do you convince people that something is good for them? Oh, well, that would be the media marketing campaign. Feed it to their brains via the media matrix. Give them an advert. Tell them it's good for them.
They've done a pretty good job over the last 35, 40 years, haven't they? You go to the dairy case in the grocery store and you find 85 brands of corn oil margarine. That's how much they've brainwashed people. Vegetable
brainwashed
oils can cause heart disease. It's a nightmare, said Dr. Edward Emken, a specialist in food oils for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's really a nasty thing when you try to explain it. There's now total confusion for
total confusion. We'll have a look at Martin Brundle talking about total confusion.
Consumers. Why would there be total confusion for consumers?
Why would there be total confusion?
Because the truth is different from what you've been taught.
Yeah, the truth is different from what you've been taught. Strange that, isn't it? Martin Brundle, it would be terribly sad. You've seen this several times from me, and I'm going to go through it again in detail. But this thing, it gets better with age. It gets better with age. Here's little Colin there in the studio asking the questions.
Martin, thanks for joining us. Everybody has been talking about this, so 24 hours or so on. What are your thoughts on what happened?
Well, it was an incredible few minutes of sport, wasn't it? With a very grave consequences if you were Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes-Benz, and an amazing experience if you were Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Very complex.
Oh, it is very complex. It's confusing because it's too complex. Don't you all worry your little head. But this monologue keeps going and going and going. See how long this goes until Colin re-interjects with another question, a leading question.
Matter. So it was so exciting to a wonderful finale to a wonderful Grand Prix season. But then, of course, you know, there's a lot of controversy around it, and it's all a bit uncomfortable and doesn't shine a particularly good light on Formula One and its processes. But it was a hugely complex and compressed moment in...
Oh, a hugely compressed and complex moment.
You know, and several regulations were...
Make sure you're reading it correctly, Martin. Make sure you're reading it correctly.
Tripping over themselves, and we ended up with a bit of a hybrid solution there, which is why the lawyers are getting...
Oh, the lawyers are getting involved. Don't you worry, you little heads, because the lawyers, that means it's going to be expensive, everybody. Yeah, oh, nobody knows now because the lawyers are getting involved. Crazy shit.
Getting involved in interpretation of words.
Oh, yeah, people trying to argue a bastardized version of events to evade consequence for wrongdoing. Is that what you're trying to say that interpretation is there, Martin?
Wording in the regulations, and of course, you know, the sporting regs are 99 pages, and you need to read every single word carefully.
And we know most of you can't read, so yeah, don't you worry. Just listen to what we say.
It's like a legal document.
Oh, a legal document, Martin. Yeah, nobody can understand them, can they? You know, they're written in old ladies' language. You know, the Latin language of law. Yeah, yeah. Law, the difference between right and wrong in the context of a given situation. Written in Latin, so that you won't understand. Strange that, isn't it, Martin? Strange that. oh, it's all a highly complex technical situation, and the lawyers will get involved, and you need to get a lawyer because only they can understand it, and have to feed lawyers money, and they'll decide amongst themselves what the outcome that they want is for the situation when they do their legal dance, having creamed out millions from the situation. Is that right, Martin?
And the sporting code, which backs everything up, is
Oh, it's a sport. Okay. And it's how big?
that sort of thick, and it's just it's a minefield.
Oh, it's a minefield. It's a grey area. It's a loophole. Nobody knows.
And in the heat of the moment, when Michael Massey, the race director, had to consider the safety of marshals, was the car out of the way?
Yes, it was out of the way, Martin. We saw that.
Couldn't release the cars until he was the lapped cars until he was certain that the track was reasonably clear.
No, it has to be safe to go racing again, Martin. It's not about being reasonably clear. Is that reasonably clear to go racing? No, it has to be declared safe, Martin.
Although they, of course, have to proceed with caution anyway. And you know what? Even knowing who the lap cars are is not as straightforward as you might think, because you get a safety car situation, and some cars pit, and that means they are then lapped, or
didn't happen.
The leader pits and unlaps some other cars. So,
Martin, the leader didn't pit. So let's have a look. What's going on here?
Come the first race. Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed.
Oh no! Nicholas Latifi has crashed. And you know what?
First race. Oh
no! Even identifying who the lapped cars is not as straightforward as you might think. Because, they've not got data view which says Norris here in 8th place before the mysterious retirement of Sergio Perez, which boosted him up to 7th. Plus one lap. Plus one lap. Plus one lap on the leader, Lewis Hamilton, who had lapped him, but only plus 11.1 seconds on 7th place, the car in front of him. So Norris is trying to catch them 11 seconds on Gasly. And you know what? Trying to identify that. Oh, whereas Verstappen is 12.1 seconds behind the leader. So yeah, Norris is closer to Gasly than Verstappen was to Hamilton. But you know what? Let's just make this a duel. Let's just separate out two cars for them to have a race. Because that's all we care about, isn't it? Norris's chance of ever achieving 5th in that year's World Championship. Oh yeah, that's not important, is it? That's not important. Nobody cares about that. Nobody cares about that, Martin. Let's go back to Brundle.
So it takes a certain amount of time to work out exactly who the lap runners are. Where
it takes that certain amount of time to work out who the lap runners are. Yeah, thanks for your valuable insight there, Martin.
They are in the pack, but the fundamental point of that rule is to make sure that they don't get in the way of a great duel towards the end.
Of a great duel! How many Grand Prix have been a duel in the history of the sport? How many Grand Prix they just pick out just two cars and go, forget the rest of you, okay? The rest of you might as well not be here. We're just going to say that we're going to have a one-lap race-off, right? All of the 57 laps that have gone before, we'll wipe out all that's happened in that. And what we'll do now, knowing that one car is on fresh soft compound tyres, the compound of tyre that you will set your qualifying lap on, the kind of qualifying performance, which is usually 2 seconds a lap faster than race pace, that sort of thing, yeah. We'll get one of you on them tyres, and the other one, you can be on the tyres you've been on for 44 laps of that race, the durable tyre, not for ultimate pace. And we'll just do one lap and see who wins, because that's the fundamental point of that rule, isn't it, Martin? Or is it no? Is it that we've got a safety incident, this yellow flag here, due to a safety concern, and these gaps between all of the competitors are going to decrease to nothing. Okay, they're going to end up one behind the other, and these gaps are going to be half a second to a second as they're lined up behind one another. All them advantages wiped out. So this 12 seconds advantage that Hamilton has over Verstappen going to be wiped out. The 26 second advantage that Verstappen has over Perez is going to be wiped out. The 29 second advantage that Perez has over Sainz, it's going to be wiped out. Oh, but this one here, this 11-second advantage that Gasly has over Norris, no. Actually, we'll make that a whole lap that Gasly can now be ahead of Norris. Is that the fundamental point of that rule, Martin? No, but you're paid to lie to everybody, aren't you? Anyway, I was going to talk about the ownership structure of Formula One. Now, we know that Formula One is owned by Liberty Media, and Liberty Media are a media company that come under the umbrella. In fact, I need to go to a different tab before proceeding with the BlackRock situation. Okay, this is a lovely picture that encapsulates a little bit. A picture tells 1,000 words and everything. Somebody's compiled this, which is supposedly owned by BlackRock. Now, you've got various companies that you might recognize: Amazon, Microsoft, PayPal, Nike, AT&T Telecoms, Walt Disney, Ford, Comcast, that's a media company, various ones that should be familiar: CNN, Fox News. What else have we got here? There's a couple of companies here like Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca. I don't know where you may have heard them organisations before. Time Warner Cable, Boeing are there as well. Yeah, lots of different companies, all supposedly under the control, financial control of BlackRock. Now, why are BlackRock involved in this? And why therefore would these media companies here, CNN, Fox News, AT&T will have influence in media surely, and there'll be various other media companies in there that I'm sure you'll find their logos somewhere. But why wouldn't they be telling the truth if the person that owns them is telling them not to tell the truth? I wonder. So let's go back to this one here, BlackRock, on Wikipedia. So who owns BlackRock? Well, what we can look at is these are the shareholders in BlackRock. You've got the Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street Corporation, Morgan Stanley, I think this Geode Capital Management. Let's just, I'll take a wild guess that you might see some of these names appear as we go through some of this. So what else are we going to look at here? Which tabs have I got here? Oracle Corporation. Where do you know the name Oracle? Oh, that would be the chief sponsor of the Oracle Red Bull team that won the 2021 Drivers' Championship. They had that gifted to them. Great publicity. And then ever since have dominated the sport, won every race, because that's Oracle. Incredible marketing. So fair play to Oracle. They're an incredible company which offers you services, marketing, sales practices by Oracle, where they had to lay off 400 people because of accounting errors. Oracle helping you with your business accounting, but they made accounting errors because their salesmen urged potential customers to buy the largest possible amount of software, and then they all got their bonuses off of that, falsely accounted, and then they had to subsequently, it meant that the problem was future sales subsequently failed to materialise. All that expected growth, it didn't happen. Oracle eventually had to restate its earnings twice. I wonder who isn't very good at declaring their accounting in the sport of Formula One. And they've settled out of court. Lawsuits arising from having overstated its earnings. Oracle had made an incredible business mistake. So yeah, that's Oracle for you. There's various things. You can have a look at Oracle. Incredible firm they are. What's the next tab here? This tells us who owns Liberty Media Corp. Stock ownership. Who owns Liberty Media? Well, I'm on page 1 of 30. Berkshire Hathaway. So we'll have a look at Berkshire Hathaway. There's Gregory B. Maffei there. Gregory B. Maffei. He used to be the chief financial officer of Oracle. We've just looked at Oracle. And Greg Maffei used to be the chief financial officer of them. Oh, them people that had to lay off 400 people because of false accounting. Oh, yeah. Them. I don't know whether Greg Maffei was the guy in charge at that moment in time. But Greg Maffei, let's have a look. Is this Greg Maffei? Where are we with Greg Maffei? Is it? No, it's not that one. Is this one Greg Maffei? Let me find Greg Maffei. Here's Greg Maffei. Is an American businessman. Snaps up Van Goghs for the price of a hospital wing. So, yeah, head of Liberty Media. Controversies. Mario Andretti says that at the 2024 Miami Grand Prix, he was having a private conversation with Formula One CEO Stefano Domenicali about his son Michael Andretti's bid to join the F1 grid for 2025 being denied controversially. When Maffei butted in and said, "Mario, I want to tell you that I will do everything in my power to see that Michael never enters Formula One." And it's referenced there. I'm not making that up. This is on Wikipedia. Liberty subsequently disclosed that the United States Department of Justice has opened a probe into Formula One management owned by Liberty Media for rejecting Andretti's bid to join Formula One, citing anti-competitive practices. Oh, okay, so you're breaking the law. Okay, he's donated 250 grand to Donald Trump's inauguration committee. What does it say about Greg Maffei? He was telling us about he was at the Harvard Business School where he was a Baker Scholar. I wanted to know what a Baker Scholar was. You know, I didn't know whether that was anything to do with like going on the Great British Bake Off and learning a bit from Mary Berry, but apparently not. Who are Baker Scholars? Bakers are exemplary role models. They inspire all those who aspire to have an impact on both business and society. That's an exemplary role model there in Greg Maffei. I think he got $56 million from a payout out of Liberty, somewhere along the lines. You know, doing all right for himself is Gregory Maffei there. But we were talking about, who was it we were looking at? We were looking at these ones here. Berkshire Hathaway. Let's have a look at Berkshire Hathaway. Is that these? Is this one? Have I got the right tab for Berkshire Hathaway? Oracle, no, wrong one. Let's have a look. See, there's that much you can just, everything's intertwined. Berkshire Hathaway, okay? So they are a multinational conglomerate holding company. Omaha, Nebraska. Okay, we all know what a multinational holding conglomerate company is, don't we? Yeah, so what's that all about? Previously, they were a textile manufacturer, but then Buffett got his hands on it, and what's happening now? Corporate affairs and all this, like annual shareholders meeting, largest shareholders. So this group here, right? Berkshire Hathaway, who have got massive shareholding in Liberty Media. Who owns them? Who owns who? Well, Warren Buffett, the Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street Corporation, Geode Capital Management, Morgan Stanley, Bill and Melinda Gates, Northern Trust, BNY Mellon, and Norge Bank. So they're the largest shareholders. Governance, succession plans, finance, Business and Investments, Utilities and Energy Group, Manufacturing Service, all these things. You can go see how what they're. Let me see if I can get to theirs. I don't know if I've looked at this one actually. Most of these you can go down the list on Wikipedia and it will tell you the crimes that they've committed. Funny that. I don't know about them. Greg Maffei, we've had a look at him. The Vanguard Group, we've heard the Vanguard Group, haven't we? The Vanguard Group is an American registered investment advisor. And their name has appeared in ownership of BlackRock, in ownership of not Greg Maffei, although he's probably owned as well. Berkshire Hathaway, yeah, Vanguard have got ownership of them. They all have got a finger in one another's pie. They've all got a finger. They've all got an ownership stake in each other. They all benefit. If one part of the business is one of their investments make money, they all got a share of it, so they're all making money. So none of them are going to call it out because it means they're all going to lose money. All of the businesses that they've got a controlling influence over, they're going to keep them quiet because they're not going to allow them to expose things that are going to cause a decrease in the value in something that they own. And everyone is intertwined, and therefore none of them are calling it out. But they're all doing rather well out of it, aren't they? They've all got this, they're in control of trillions and trillions of dollars of assets. Oh, this is capital. You give your money to us and we will invest it in these businesses. And all of those businesses are going to make a lot of money more, and you're going to get a return on your investment. And we're going to control that and do rather well for ourselves. So you've got Vanguard, and Vanguard have got their values. It's not only changing investing for the better, we're changing the world for the better, says the rapist as they're raping you. Vanguard is a company that seeks to serve the greater good. We value diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we seek to keep clients' data safe and to uphold high ethical standards. Active in our communities through philanthropy and volunteerism. Well, you'd like to tell us that we need to give things away and volunteer. You're takers, though, aren't you? You're takers. You're all the ones that are the millionaires, the billionaires. But you want to tell us that we're the ones that need to volunteer. We are stronger together, connected by our brief in integrity, focus, and of course, stewardship. Vanguard cares. Sustainability. Yeah, sustainability, this word that's used to present that it's talking about the sustainability of the planet, when all it really is the sustainability of making profit. Sustainable business models. Let's make cars that only last for 6 to 10 years and then you have to replace them. It's no good to us if that car that we make lasts 30 years because we only make one lot of profit on it. That one lot of profit when it's initially sold. So if we keep having to make customers return to us every 6 years, we keep making a new amount of profit every 6 years. Oh, that's called sustainability. That's good for the planet, everybody. That's good for the planet. Yeah, absolutely. What other tabs have I got open? Who owns Vanguard? Well, Vanguard is owned by its customers. Oh, what an ethical company they are. Who is customers? Who's investing in? Oh, that would be the likes of BlackRock and the other people. Well, you can't really get a list of that. State Street Corporation. They're all in it, aren't they? State Street Corporation. This is another one of these. What are these? Financial services and bank holding company. So that's another one that you saw on that list. History, 21st century, controversies, currency, trade, Fraud. Okay, so I say rich bankers with criminal connections. Yeah, they're guilty of fraud and breaking laws. These companies. Now, I'm not making this up. You can go on to, you can do a lot of research about these. I actually made a mistake in my last video saying that the Boeing whistleblower had died of a supposed heart attack. That was one of the articles I'd briefly stumbled across, but without researching it further, I made the error of saying that that's what he died of, and it wasn't. He died of a gunshot wound, and they say is self-inflicted. So people that actually expose that some of these companies that are asset managed, for example, by the big global conglomerates, their lives seem to be impacted. Strange, isn't it, that if you expose something which is going to cause one of these big businesses to be exposed as committing illegal acts, that is then going to cause the devaluation of those businesses, that you, as the person exposing that, your life is negatively impacted. Strange that, isn't it? Strange that. Who has control? Who has control over laws? Control over whether or not the laws are applied? Whether the courts are going to punish the offenders for these offences? How many people are there investigating these offences? What are the calibre of people investigating these offences? When you've got the option of choosing a job where you can be the person investigating offences, and you might get a salary of, 50 grand a year if you're lucky to be investigating these big corporate entities that are breaking laws, or you can come and work for the big corporate entity and you can get 250 grand a year. I wonder what you're going to choose. What you're going to choose. It's an ethical decision, but dictated by money, isn't it? A lot of the time. So there's a lot of different things that I could be looking at, but unfortunately, what's going to happen is you end up going in circles, and you find out that ultimately, within all these things, which one is it? Let's go back to this one. These same businesses tend to keep appearing in ownership of each other and everything else. Okay, there's probably more, but it's big supposed banking groups, okay, investment funds, hedge fund managers, asset managers, all this sort of things that we're told is, oh, it's growing the wealth. They've got a stake in everything. They've got a stake in each other. And therefore, if they do something wrong, they don't call each other out. There's no competition, because if one of the organisations that, for example, provides a certain service, provides a certain product, they price their product at a certain level, well, the rival companies, what do? Do they undercut it so that they take all of the business, or they just price match so that they're all making loads of money? Oh, it's the free market, they tell you. The market will determine the price. Or is it that they're determining the price because there is no free market? There is no competition. Because anybody that comes along as competition, they buy you. They go, oh, we'll buy your business for a few mil. You've done really well out of this. Great. Now we've got no competition that's undercutting us. Now all of the big companies that we own can continue pricing their products at what they're priced, and we're making lots of money. And aren't you all doing well? Aren't those of you with a bit of money doing well? We're doing better, but those of you with a bit of money doing well. And your pension's linked to this, so you can't allow us to fail. So you've got to allow us to carry on doing what we're doing to keep making money for sustainability. Who's got the control? Who has got the control? So, illegal, unethical things are allowed to take place. And you think, oh, it can't be true that Formula One has engaged in illegal activity. It's not. It can't be that they fixed the outcome to make them billions. It can't be. Otherwise, we'd have heard this from the media. The media would have exposed this. Oh, well, the media is owned by the likes of these and others, okay? But they own the media. So if one of the things that they own has done something that is wrong and has made them lots of money, then the media that they own, they're not going to let that media expose it, are they? To lose them that amount of money and more. And you wonder why you've not heard about it. Oh, that's just a conspiracy theory, isn't it? For me saying that, oh, that's just a conspiracy theory. I'm just cuckoo, aren't I? I'm just cuckoo, because George Carlin will tell you about conspiracies.
Well, people, Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky, those people aren't on TV because they have intellect and they're dissenters, and the limits of debate in this country are set before the debate begins.
Oh, so when you're presented on the TV with two people supposedly arguing over something, oh, that the limits for that debate are already set. Yeah, they kind of are. They're not they're not putting forward all the alternatives. They're saying you it's either this way or that way. It can't be done any other way. Oh, it's either free market capitalism or communism, and we all know that communism doesn't work, don't we? Yes. Think Russia, think China, the bad guys of the world. Communism, terrible. You are part of the free world. This is the type of debate that we're constantly told. You're part of the free Western democracy that we all live in. Aren't you lucky?
These people will not be included. The debate will take place between these two poles, and we'll have them on Ted Koppel. And it's an argument between sames. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just little variations. The people who are outside are quickly marginalized. They're made to be either subversive, made out to be either subversive or kooks. This is the
crazy conspiracy theorist.
Word.
Well, in other words,
he's a kook.
Yeah, and you have to give him credit for.
I'm going to fast forward a bit here, but you're welcome to go and watch this one. This is the key bit.
Not as a result of a conspiracy, but
you
because...
don't need a formal conspiracy.
Right.
When interests converge, these people went to the same universities and fraternities. They're on the same boards of directors. They're in the same country clubs. They have like interests. They don't need to call a meeting. They know what's good for them, and they're getting it. And there used to be 7 oil companies. There are...
Feel free to watch that. You don't need a direct conspiracy when interests converge. And when they all have a stake in one another, when they all own the same businesses and have shares in one another, interests converge. The CEOs of each of these companies, they jump from one to the others. They probably get a severance package of quite a few shares. You tell me, Greg Maffei, what was your severance package from Oracle? Did you get a few Oracle shares? Would it benefit you now that you're head of Liberty Media, CEO of Liberty Media, if the show that you are the CEO of, Formula One, if Oracle did rather well out of that? Would you do rather well out of that, Greg, or some of your chums that you used to work with who has a convergence of interests in all this situation? Now, there are a lot of people that could do this in a lot greater detail and expose a lot more. But what you need to take from this is that the ownership of this show, because I could go into each of the teams, and in fact I will at some point, we'll go into who owns all of the teams, and because you even look at Mercedes. Mercedes are far from squeaky clean. All right, but you can go into who owns each of the teams, and we'll have a look at that. But ultimately, the show is owned by Liberty Media. Liberty Media is owned by investors, so-called asset managers such as BlackRock, and BlackRock are owned by or partially owned by Vanguard and State Street Corporation and Bank of America and Morgan Stanley and Geode Capital Management, and they've all got a stake in each other. They don't want each other to fail. They don't want each other to be exposed for fraud, for crime. Because if one's exposed, they all lose. So they'll try and cover it up, won't they? And they'll use their media to give you the message. You know, the paid operators will give you the message. Oh, it's a highly complex technical sport and you won't understand. So don't you worry your little heads.
The end of a Grand Prix, and that certainly happened, didn't it?
It certainly did. And you mentioned there about kind of the legal battles and such. Like, how sad would you be to see this all decided at some point in a courtroom?
How sad would you be to see this all decided in a courtroom? That's an interesting question, isn't it? You know, on Sky Sports News, how sad would you be if it got decided in a courtroom? I'd be sad 90. Oh, the sadness would be 7. That's a strange question. How sad would you be if this got decided in court? Tell us about your emotion. How would it make you feel? What kind of a question is that? Oh, what a dick.
It certainly did. And you mentioned there about kind of the legal battles and such. Like, how sad would you be to see this all decided at some point in a courtroom?
Who scripted that question, Colin?
It would be terribly sad.
Oh, it would be terribly sad. Why is that? A lot of people would lose a lot of money. Terribly sad.
And I can't really see where it can go.
Yeah, I can't see. Yeah, it can't happen.
If I'm honest, because, you know, what's the
if you're honest, Brundle, irony.
Remedy? You know, for example, Red Bull didn't do anything.
Oh, Red Bull didn't do anything wrong. They just played some clever cards.
Wrong. There are no misdemeanors on their part.
Oh, you keep telling us that. Oh, we didn't do anything wrong. There's no misdemeanors. Okay. Coercing the race director to break the rules of the sport isn't doing anything wrong. It was all, let's face it, they weren't coercing him. That was part of the script. That was there to interject to the world to set up this notion that, oh, the race director's under pressure and he caved under pressure to create the outcome that we got. That was all just part of the contrivance.
Or Carlos Sainz coming in third.
Yeah, I don't know how you unravel this, because Carlos Sainz coming in third didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, he was still finished third behind that safety car, Martin.
Ferrari, for example, Yuki Tsunoda for AlphaTauri.
Yuki Tsunoda for AlphaTauri, yeah. Well, what would have happened is he'd have finished 5th, because that illegal last lap where he overtook Bottas, well, he wouldn't have had that chance. Never mind. That's the way it works. Okay?
How are you going to unravel all of that? You can't just...
You just say, okay, the rules were broken on lap 57. And therefore, what was the running order at the end of lap 56? Oh, well, that is the declared race result. Lewis Hamilton is the winner. Because everything that took place from that breaking of the rules on lap 57, where only 5 of 8 lap cars were released, which is not allowed to happen, it makes that from there onwards invalid. So you unravel it until the last valid point, which is the end of lap 56. If you want to count back a further lap, then you can do that. End of lap 55. It makes no difference. Although, was Perez retired at the end of lap 55? Would that have made a difference? Do we now get a podium filled by Mercedes on the top step and the 2 Red Bulls in second and third? No, we don't, because we just disqualify the cheats. Disqualify the cheats for being part of the contrivance. Anyway, I hope I've clarified a few things, or at least made you start thinking about what is really going on here, because this is important. My last video touched upon this, and this is only doing the same. I'd need to go into a lot greater depth to show people the underlying construct of why it is you're only hearing this from me. Why it is that the media aren't actually exposing the fraud, and that most of the other F1 YouTube channels, well, they're just content to earn money by exciting you. You know, they'll quite happily make videos telling you, oh, the latest happenings in Formula One, because they're doing all right out of it. When things are working for them, when they're making money out of making videos for you, for your consumption, they'll just make the videos and make the money. Some of them aren't the sharpest tools in the box. Some of them will actively hide it. Some of them just aren't very clever and they can't actually see what's going on, but they know that by making a video and just talking about it and repeating and parroting what everybody else is saying, it makes them money. So it's working for them. So they're happy enough. But this is the reason you're not hearing the truth, is because the interests of those people that are in control of it are that you cover up the fraud, you cover up the crime, and you make the money. That is what's happening. So, yes, this is why it's going to be a challenge. This is why I am being suppressed. Money will be being thrown at trying to keep my channel and the content of my channel quiet, because they don't want people to know. They don't want it exposed. So you need to shout about it. You need to play your part in making people aware. Use your knowledge, use your expertise. If you've got greater knowledge and expertise about how this banking structure works, make videos about it, write articles about it, educate people. This is what needs to happen. We need to start waking this world up to show people how the control actually works. How it actually works. Because it would be terribly sad if this is settled in a courtroom, wouldn't it, Martin? Terribly sad to see justice done. You'd be terribly saddened by that, wouldn't you, Martin? So, just understand, we are lied to. We can go back to that Instagram video that I started this by. Okay?
Now, we learned 50 years ago in the animal industry that vegetable oils were bad for you because we tried to get animals to gain weight faster by giving them 20% and 40% of their ration as corn oil or soy oil. And sure enough, for the first couple of weeks that animals were on the oils, they gained weight many times faster than ones just getting carbohydrate calories. But in 6 weeks, they all died of heart attacks. So
it wasn't good, was it?
we knew it was a good idea. It went bad somewhere. And they said, well, what do we do with this stuff? No farmer is dumb enough to give it to his livestock anymore. They said, look, we've contracted with farmers to grow millions.
Oh, we've already made these investments and we've already paid ourselves the millions in bonuses. What do we do now?
Of tons of corn oil and soil every year for the next 50 years. What do we do with this stuff? They said, well, it's not proven in human beings yet that it's dangerous. Let's convince people that vegetable oil is good for them.
Let's convince people using the media.
And they've done a pretty good job over the last
condition the masses.
35, 40 years, haven't they? You go to the dairy case in the grocery store and you find 85 brands of corn oil margarine. That's how much they've brainwashed people. Vegetable oils.
Brainwashing, using media. Look at the constant theme throughout this channel. The constant theme of why I'm making these videos, because we've all been brainwashed.
Can cause heart disease. It's a nightmare.
So you strap on fanboys that go, I like Max Verstappen. Max is my... I don't give a shit about what you like. You're that naive, you've been brainwashed, but you're there to fight for your strap-on little fanboy because you love your little boy, don't you? That's all you care about. Some of you have got children. Some of you have got children. I know who some of you are. Worked it out, you know, because some of us have got the ability to work out who some of you trolls are. Right? Dolph! Yeah. In some of your pictures that you put up, it might not be you because you might have used somebody else's pictures on your profile, but, you know, you've got children. This is what you're fighting for, is it? Or you're fighting for your child's life? You know, the the life that they're going to lead, the world that they're going to grow up into. Just shows you how brainwashed people are.
Said Dr. Edward Emken, a specialist in food oils for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's really a nasty thing when you try to explain it. There's now total confusion for consumers. Why would there be total confusion for consumers? Well, that's because the truth is different from what you've been taught.
Truth. It's different from what you're getting in the media. Anyway, that'll do for this one. Thank you for your time, and please give it some thought. Please think about what is being presented in this video. Do your own research. Look who owns who. And that is why when the owners are going to make money, they're not going to expose the wrongdoing. When all of those Formula One teams that all made money out of that event, well, they're not going to expose that it was fraudulent and that they all complied with it being fixed in the way it was. They're not going to come out and say that, are they? None of them have. Where's the pressure coming? Oh, well, we're accountable to our shareholders. If we tell people that it was actually fraudulent and made up, then a lot of people will stop watching it because they'll just think it's the same as wrestling. And then the value of the sport goes down because the audience gets less, and therefore the value of our business goes down, and the value of everybody's shareholding in the business goes down, and we're accountable to those shareholders, and they won't like that. They will vote at the shareholders meeting to get us out of management of this business because we've not performed in the way that we should. Funny that, isn't it? Funny that. But they'll tell you that they stand for integrity. You know, Vanguard will, won't they? Vanguard's values: sustainability, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And integrity, of course, stewardship. Yeah, they're all words. They're all words. Thank you for your time.